Hello! So this is going to be a video going over how I apply, what effects I applied to your guys' audio to make it episode ready. Maybe this is so you guys can do it yourself, maybe not, I don't know. But just something to show you guys for maybe future knowledge, maybe current knowledge, I don't know. So I'm editing in Audacity in here. If you don't have Audacity installed, please do, it's good, I like it. I have in here already two examples. One is a good example, one is a less good example, and I will go over why one is better than the other. So when you guys open up Audacity, you're gonna have something similar-ish to this. You can see I customized my viewports, I extended my meter bars, and I have this really sick device toolbar in here that allows me to do a bunch of things that I need. So if you want to customize your viewport in Audacity, you can just go to view toolbars, and these are the toolbars I have selected. Anyways, not really important. Another fun side note thing is this is a dark mode. You can change that by hitting Control P on the keyboard or going up to Edit and Preferences, and then heading over to your interface and changing your theme to dark. And also this is where you can change your meter range, where mine is at -84. I think it's normally set to like -60 or -48. I recommend lowering this just so you're able to see what the noise floor is, especially if you record at a lower noise floor like I do. Anything below -84 you don't need to go that low. But -84, -72, I'd recommend doing a meter range in between that, just so you can see what your noise floor is when you're recording. Because when you're looking at these, I might look at this audio here. Here, let's solo this so I know what I'm doing. Extend that up. Oh, by the way, this is when I collapse this, it goes to half a waveform. If you go back to Control P, you can click tracks, this big one, not any of the smaller collapsed versions. You can use this half waveform display when collapsed to make it sit nicer in your when editing. So I do that. So I might look at this and go, oh, I have a straight flat bar on my waveform. That means I have no background noise. I'm good. I'm A-okay. Unfortunately, not. So, if we change this to a logarithmic decibel view, which is great for seeing the decibels, how loud everything is. Can I tell you the exact difference between amplitude and decibels? No. I wish I could. I'm not that scientifically smart right now. I'm getting there. I'm learning more about Audacity, but I don't have a full depth of knowledge of it yet. But this can show us the background noise. So we can see how loud our thing is. So we can see we got a bit here. We can see our background noise is really loud here, and then it tapers off to be kind of quiet down over here. And we can actually, if we hit play, we can see in our meter bar down here, it's peaking at around 39. Now it's down to like 51. For the background noise, coming down to 57, down to 60, and it's holding around 60 decibels for our background noise, which is pretty good. So let's change this back to linear amplitude. This is what people are normally used to seeing, and this is what I am normally edit in linear amplitude. I'll go over use cases for other views as well, but in your Audacity workspace, the main thing I stress to basically everyone who will hear me is that this editing just like this is not how you're supposed to edit. In my opinion, if you go through these 3 bars up here, you can hit multi-view, which shows you the spectrogram as well. Spectrogram is really helpful in understanding the whole audio of what's going on. So you can see that I have these little vertical spikes right here. These are what is called mouth noises. It's mouth noises. And you can see in our regular linear amplitude, they do not appear. So we want a way to get rid of them. And we have effects that do that to get rid of them that I will help you guys out looking for. But I want to go over the difference between these two clips, why one is good and one is not so great. And when I turn on multi-view, you guys will see. Boom. You can see there's a clear difference between the background noise here and the background noise here. It is very clear in the spectrogram on these lower ends of one seems recorded one place and then the background noise are recorded somewhere else. Now, I'm going to open up Desmos to kind of show you guys why this is not helpful for me in the slightest. So, what your waveform is, what your audio is, are waves. These are a bunch of atoms hitting each other and pushing on each other, and that eventually makes it to your ears. And you got a diaphragm in your ears, or a little couple bones in your ears, which vibrate back and forth, which then vibrate a liquid back and forth, which then move some hairs in the inner ear back and forth, and that's how you can hear different frequencies and hear what's being said. Kind of very, very broad overview of what's going on. So let's say this right here is my audio. This green wave is the audio I record. Now, on this audio, I have my voice, this red line, which is represented by this cosine x, and then I have background noise, which is this blue line. We can see that they're together like this, but when we add them together, right here, we see they narrow out and they come to this thing. So my goal, when I'm doing background noise removal, is to take this thing, remove the background noise so that I'm left with this. And what that looks like is I can take this sine wave, your background noise, when you record a good background noise, I can say, I can flip it. This is your background noise you record. And what I do is I flip it, make it negative, and I add it back to what you recorded here. Add it back to this, your original recording, and I get a pure line, right? Now this cosine and this line are the exact same. The red and blue are the exact same. And that is what I want. Now in here, we can see that this and this are pretty freaking similar, right? This noise compared to this noise is great. That allows me to do the whole, flip the background noise and add it to the original recording and remove it entirely to get this, just the thing. In here, you can see that the background noise is completely different to what this is. So that's me saying, hey, instead of having your background noise like this, it might be background noise like, I can type like 2 sine x, doing like this. So you can see the difference between that. It's like double, right? And if I do 2 sine x to this, you see instead of getting our normal cosine, the red line, we get this purple line, which is offset. And I've actually destroyed the audio even more by adding this background noise. This bad background noise. So when I say, please record your audio, the background noise, what I mean by that is what I normally do is I hit record on my Audacity, and then I sit and wait for 30 seconds, making sure there's no sighs, breaths, mouth clicks, rustling, some background noise like this. Like you can see there's probably movement right in here. Just dead silent, completely still, holding my breath for like 20 to 30 seconds, and then I will come and record my lines. And I have a nice thing of background noise recorded in the exact same session as my lines. And that allows me to do this perfect noise removal of that, right? This is what I want to do. I don't want to do that. So please give me the correct audio. Thank you. It's my little spiel here. We'll come back to this audio because there's something I want to touch on in this audio that's a great example of what might need to happen to your audio if need be. So we'll come back to here. Let's just solo this and talk about my process for editing this line. Now, when I go to edit, the first thing I do is make a copy of this. Control C, tracks, add new. I made this a keyboard shortcut. You can do that in preferences as well. Make a keyboard shortcut, add a new track, and paste in that audio. Because you don't want to be... When you're doing like EQ or something, it's good to have a reference of what it sounded like before you applied effects, just so you know where you came from and make sure you're not actually destroying your audio or ruining your performance. You want to make sure what you're doing is good, so having a reference of what it was before is helpful with that. So what we're going to do, we're going to make this raw. I'm just going to rename track to be raw. And what is this? Example audio 1 edited. Wow, I can spell. So we're going to apply our effects onto this. So first thing is I'm going to apply a declicker. So I'm going to try and get rid of all these vertical spikes, which we can hear. If we do this half speed, we can really hear it. Ready? These clicks are damaging to our audio, and these mouth noises, someone like with saliva going, right? That's what these clicks are. So there is, if we highlight our audio, an effect. Now then, this is something you have to import in. I'll leave a link in the description of how to upload all these fun effects like the punch copy paste. They spelled it wrong, not me. Declicker, Deesser, which we will be using them for. Soundly Shape It, which is really good. Tokyo Dawn Labs Prism is really good. And then Open Vino is something I've been using recently. And I used it in this workflow, and I'll show you guys all the effects I used further on. So let's apply this declicker. Now in this, don't touch any of the settings beyond the number of passes. Number of passes is the only setting you should be touching, right? There is in here, you can isolate changes, you could label things. The number of passes, 4 is the max, 1 is the minimum. I just do 4. Audacity does like to crash sometimes, so make sure you're saving your project before doing it. Did I save the project before hitting apply? No. So we'll see what happens when I hit apply. And now we praise the Audacity gods that it doesn't crash. Oh, we're good. And you'll see those vertical lines disappear. Woo! Amazing! That's what it's designed to do. Sometimes they don't disappear all the way. The declicker works really great and gets rid of most of what needs to get rid of. You see, it also leaves behind something like, I believe this is a T or a K or something like that. This is a sharp plosive sound, this spike, but you can see it's it's intentional. This is it's a T. Yeah, that's what I thought. So now, let's talk about a high pass filter. Now you can see, let's plot our spectrum here. Let's go to Analyze Plot Spectrum. We're going to see that our background noise has this high peak at around 99 hertz. All right, this really high peak. That is, I mean, another peak here at 529. Might look into that later on. You can see this really orange and yellow part on the very, very lower portion of our spectrogram is a lot of where background noise and cyclic noise like AC and things like that occur. And the human voice, if you look on here, right here, it doesn't actually go that low. There's a little bit here on the T, but I think that's some reverberation. You can see that the human voice doesn't really go below 100 hertz, so we can actually cut everything below 100 hertz. We can just get rid of it, cut it. So we can do that with a high-pass filter. Effect, EQ filters, a high-pass filter. So a high-pass, there's high-pass and there's low-pass. Good way to think about it is a high-pass filter lets the highs pass through the filter. So it gets rid of low frequencies. And the low-pass filter lets the low frequencies pass the filter, so it gets rid of high frequencies. So I told you guys I normally do about 100 hertz and 48 decibels. So we're going to hit apply for that. We're going to see a lot of our noise disappear. So now when we go back to our plot spectrum, you can see that it was pretty sharp down here. Now we cut this down. We cut this down a lot, getting rid of a lot of the background noise. So further what we can do, getting rid of more background noise. Let's talk about, so what that was a high pass filter, getting rid of any frequencies below 100 hertz, right? There is another thing. Let's bring this button back up. In our background noise filter here, we can see, if you look here, there's this pink horizontal line running throughout the whole noise. That is a tone. So we can think of it. Let's add in here a tone. Silence, tone, sine, 440, amplitude, sure, duration. 1 second duration. So noise. So this is going to be 440 hertz is the note A on a keyboard, right? So you can see that this is a solid frequency band at 440 hertz, and it sounds like a tone, right? Super simple. So that is what we're seeing with these pink vertical lines. And if we want to actually see what was happening, we can select our background noise here. I'm just going to get rid of this real quick. We don't really need it anymore. Let's grab our Analyze, do this Analyze tab, and a Plot Spectrum. You can see there are these peaks, right, in our audio. There's a peak here, peak here, peak here, peak here, and peak here. And this is where I might consider using something called a notch filter. Now, a notch filter, kind of like a high-pass filter, where a high-pass filter gets rid of anything below a certain value, a low-pass filter gets rid of anything above a certain value, a notch filter gets rid of anything at a certain value. So let's look at this this 330 hertz. You can see this is at negative 57 decibels. Let's try and remember that. 330 hertz, negative 57. So we're going to go to Effect, EQ, Notch Filter, 30, and let's do that like a 1, like really, really heavy. Hit Apply. We're going to see it just cuts it, gets rid of it. Boom. Totally gets rid of it. Now 1 is a bit high. I'm just showing you an example of like nuking this. Ideally, because this is actually in range of your human voice, try and lower your value here, your Q value, to a lower value so you can, not destroy your audio. But yeah, now if we plot our spectrum, we can see we actually got rid of that 330 hertz. Where is it? Here's our 330. It's now a valley, right? Before it was a peak up at negative 58, right? So, using notch filter to get rid of some like tones, like a computer fan or something like that. Notch filter is really great for. Moving on. Let's grab you back up. We don't really need you. So now let's say there's a background noise. So if there's anything like a fan or something, notch filter is great to use. Let's grab. Oh my gosh, my keypad turned off. I'm going to grab this background noise. Now, once again, I can see that this here is very yellow versus over here is not so yellow, down in this lower region. So what I want to do is I look at this audio and I see this is not very yellow. So again, back to our not trying to add things to it, which Audacity is good at not adding actually, but as an example, don't do that. I'm going to get rid of this, and we can actually clearly see that there's a taper here in our dB view. So I'm going to use this dB view. I'm going to say, hey, right around here. It's pretty good. I'm going to use all the audio past this for my background noise. All right. Now, a very cool thing in here is if I were to cut this right now, let's zoom all the way into my cursor position. Zoom all the way in. And we can see, I'll zoom out to like here. We see that our cursor is on this blue line. This black line is the 0, right? Now our cursor is not on the black line. It's on this blue line, which is above our cursor. So there's actually a, if I cut this down, I could actually be getting a pop. So what I want to do is make my cursor go to the nearest intersection where the blue, our cursor, and this black line all intersect together. So to do that, I'm going to go to transport, to select, and then @0 crossings, which is also the Z button on your keyboard. So if I press Z, or if I just click this, you can see it moves the cursor to a 0 point. All right, I'm going to hit Control 2, gets me back to normal view. So now it's at the 0 point. We can select up to the audio. So to make that selection, you go select audio clips, previous clip boundary to cursor, which you can see I made a custom keyboard shortcut for all of these. Custom keyboard shortcuts are great for navigation and moving around. That's what that is. We'll just do that. Crap. And then I'm also going to hit backspace and just get rid of it, because I don't need any of that background noise. Now, I'll talk more about how to automate that process of hitting Z, then selecting previous clip boundary, then hitting backspace. Because that's 3 button presses. 5 if you include the shift. So there is a great way Audacity has built in to allow you to do stuff automatically. I'll talk about that more later on towards the end. Let's go here to, I don't have it turned on. Go to the front of our clip. Now that we have our background noise, let's check the end of it here too. Let's see. Looking at my audio, I got like a spike in here. But otherwise, it looks pretty good. I'm gonna actually get rid of Z, hitting Z on my keypad, and then I think the cursor to clip end, or clip end to cursor, something like that. Backspace, just getting rid of that little decibel spike in there. I'm gonna use a background noise. So I'm gonna select this background noise. I'm gonna come up to Effect, Noise Removal and Repair, and go to Noise Reduction. Now, if you look at my settings here, you will notice that this noise reduction is low. I think standard, when you first open up noise reduction, it's going to be at like 12 or something like that. Keep this value low. Normally I have it on like 3. We'll keep it on 4 because I had it there for a reason. And I did everyone's audio on 4, but having a low noise reduction decreases the amount of distortion that is added to your audio. So noise reduction, again, what it does is it flips this sine value and then adds it to your background noise. So again, this purple line and this red line are different. It changed this purple line to be something else. It doesn't perfectly neatly do that, right? So if your background audio is not perfect, it's going to add something to it. So make sure to keep your value low, because noise reduction is destructive to your audio and introduces distortion that can be heard later on down the line, especially when applying compressors and things. Make sure to keep this low. These are pretty good settings to have. But the first thing you're going to do, once you have your audio selected, you're going to get noise profile, then you're going to select everything, and if you already have those settings turned in, you can just hit Control-R, which is to repeat your last command, or you can drop down here to this noise reduction and then hit OK. And you'll see it gets rid of a lot of the high-end stuff. It leaves a lot of the low-end stuff, so we're going to do a noise gate to get rid of basically everything else. Or I'll talk about a noise gate. So I don't have set effects for a set value for a noise gate. So a noise gate here takes a certain gate threshold and says anything below this threshold, get rid of, right? So it's only to keep things above negative 76 hertz, or decibels, sorry. So this is not something you should just like have one value for. It changes every single time I record my audio. It is different for every single thing I record. So what I do is I select this background noise. I'm going to come up to Analyze and Volume Stats. This is something that I will leave in the link in the description. It's on GitHub. Really useful thing. It's going to tell you my RMS, my sample peak, my RMS median, and my RMS mean. Now, RMS it means root mean square. It's basically the average volume of your audio. That's what you can think of it as. Now you can see there's different types of averages. Shut the fuck up. So I'm gonna go with this RMS median and say this negative 80.31. Now, I'm a simple person, and I'm not gonna type 80.31 into my noise gate, because I don't really care that much to type 0.31. So I just grab the first number, so 80. I don't round down. Even if it's 80.79, I'm still rounding down to 80. I'm gonna floor the value, if you've heard of that before. Floor. So I'm gonna select everything. Effect. Noise gate. We're gonna do, what was it, 80? I think it was 80. Gate threshold at 80. We're gonna hit apply, and we're gonna see nothing happen. And that's good. We don't want to see anything. If we see stuff start to get removed, that means our gate is way too high, and we got rid of important stuff. Even background noise is important, because you'll start to steal the noise cutting in and out while you're talking, and it sounds really weird, really bad. We don't want to set that gate too high. So now we got our background noise thing. Oh, you will notice that I've been applying these effects to the background noise as I go through. Like I apply the noise reduction to the background noise. I apply the noise gate to the background noise. I'm going to apply my loudness normalization to the background noise. I'm going to apply everything to the background noise so that if you guys are editing your own audio and then sending it to me, send it with the background noise with all the effects on the background noise already. It helps me out tremendously because I'm able to I'm not having this problem where someone has all of this silenced, all of this like this, and they just have like their audio look something like this, and then they send me background noise like this, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So after this step, what I do is sometimes this audio requires something called a deesser. Now, I unfortunately don't have an example here. This might be this here, this sigh, this breath in has a little bit of a deesser, but this audio here does not need a deesser. Yeah. But a deesser, you can see this bright spot right here. If you have up in your higher regions, kind of where this bright spot up here is, if you have like a bright spot up in those higher regions, a deesser is great at reducing the harshness of, well, S sounds, like your sibilants is what it's called. So if you have in your notes that I gave to you deesser, sometimes I play before the loudness normalization, sometimes I play after, sometimes I do both before and after. It just depends on the audio and how much sibilance I hear in the audio. But that is under it's under the same link as the declicker. Once again, don't touch any settings below the threshold. Just mess with the threshold. I have it at 10 sometimes. For my audio, I use 25. But for your guys' audio, I think I use 10 a lot. Doesn't really matter. Well, okay, no, it does. It does very much matter. But this is something you guys have to dial in for your own voice and settings. This is not a, like, doing a high threshold makes you sound like you have a lisp. Low threshold doesn't, maybe won't even apply it. This is something you have to figure out for yourself and dial the threshold in for your voice and under your mic in your recording studio. It's a trial and error thing. So after a deesser, I do loudness normalization. So I go to effect, volume compression, loudness normalization. Now, in here, you see I have RMS set to -14. So, in here, there's RMS and perceived loudness. Perceived loudness is measured in LUFS. RMS is in dB. So, ACX, which is the audiobook governing body you can think of, distribution platform, I don't know. ACX requires audio that looks, I have ACX right here. ACX check. So you can see that they require a peak level of -3 decibels, which means your audio shouldn't go above -3 decibels. Your RMS level, which is your average volume, should be between the range of -23 and -18 decibels. And then your noise floor should be below -60 decibels. Now, YouTube is a little bit different. We're going to analyze Philip Collar. Again, I will have these links to these checks in the description. And if I check YouTube check, you can see YouTube allows peaks between -4 and -1. So just having it set to -3 is good. It requires an RMS of between -15 and -13, so a higher RMS average volume. And then the same -60 noise floor. So I'm going to apply, because this is for a YouTube video, right? I'm going to apply to -14 decibels. We're going to go to Effect, Volume Compression, Loudness Normalization, -14. Now, I have heard through the grapevine, I don't know too much about this, but this check of treat mono as dual mono actually lowers your inputted by -3 when it applies it. So instead of having an RMS to -14 decibels, it would, because this is checked, it actually has it to -17 decibels. I just applied it to -14, y'all, and hit send. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, I don't know. I have not messed with unchecking this box. I mean, I can't uncheck this box. But yeah, it's RMS -14. Perfect. I wonder if it has. It does not. I was just checking to see if it had like ACX stuff. And we're gonna hit apply. Boom, and we're gonna see this boost. If I check my, linear, we're gonna see this is all red. Here, let me hit Control Z. Oh. This looks like this. If we do Control R, it's gonna boost everything up. So now we have crazy background noise. We got clipping all over the place. Our clipping is red because we have in here view, show clipping in waveform. That's how we have that. And then show RMS in waveform is the difference between this darker blue and this lighter blue color. So the lighter blue is your RMS, and their darker blue is your peak. This is loud, and this is sometimes I would apply a deesser here. Check your notes. This one again does not need a deesser. So because this is really loud, we can check our analyze YouTube check. We can see we pass with the noise floor, we pass with our RMS, but we got a really high peak level. We have it positive 11. Again, decibels are normally negative, so this is bad. We're almost our average RMS level, but in the opposite direction. This would be very painful to listen to, so we're not going to listen to it. But we need to limit the volume to where it's supposed to be, that -3 decibels. So we're going to apply a limiter. Now, Audacity has, in volume compression, a limiter here. I don't really know what's going on here, I'm going to be honest. But they have a really nice one in Legacy Limiter. It has very nice, where you keep this 0, this 0, this 10, and this to whatever you want to limit it to. In this case, I'm going -3.11. I'm just limiting it to 0.11 just because if you limit it to exactly 3, ACX check is gonna throw an error like, ooh, watch out, you're on the threshold. So doing it just a little bit below is perfect. Oh, and then don't apply makeup gain. Don't do that. And then soft limit. These are the settings you want for this. We're gonna hit apply. We're gonna see our red drop down to where it's supposed to be. Perfect. Now, we did all the noise removal, but we still got a bunch of background noise. Again, you can also see right here where the declicker kicked into action, and we got these vertical, now missing spikes, which is good. We want that. That's good. In this case, again, sometimes I'll apply a DSO right now, but right now we're gonna apply a new thing I've been working on getting used to. Is this AI noise suppression, which fucking AI, I know, it's stupid. But it works. And it's fast. So, first off, I don't know the difference between these. I don't really know. But I always go into advanced options, and then 100 is way too much, guys. Way too much. Again, I normally apply to my audio a 6. To your guys' audio, I may have gone up to 12, maybe in the absurd cases like this one, where it's a lot of background noise, might do 24. And we're going to hit apply for 24, and pop. And you see it cut a lot of high end here, so hopefully that's not something that we wanted. So this is something where you would be able to compare in here. Oh, well, I guess this doesn't have the high end anywhere either. So great. It did good. And this is the final effects I am adding to the audio. Now, sometimes if I made a note that I had to apply EQ to your audio, this is when I would apply EQ. I'm going to show you guys that. So when I apply EQ, what I'm going to do, we're going to not bore you guys to death. So I selected a portion of spoken thing. We're going to do background noise. I hit loop. I'm going to loop it. I'm going to hit E, which is going to open up my real-time effects. I'm going to hit the spacebar. This is going to play, and it's going to play, hit this loop, and it's going to start looping this audio. Now I'm going to add Soundly Shape It. Again, I will have a link to this in the description. This is a really nice EQ that allows me to do, like, oh, maybe I want to add in a high pass for that negative 100 hertz through EQ. So maybe I do something like that, right? This is where I can actually go through the audio, solo things, and then check for any bad frequencies. Maybe you have a lot of S's and I need to lower the S's, or boost the high-end frequency with like a high shelf or something like that. Way over here, because you maybe have a mic that doesn't record high-end very well. Maybe you have a mic that doesn't record low-end very well, and I need to boost your bass a little bit. This is where I would add in all these effects, like that. And then what I would do is I would actually save this as a preset, and then I would apply it to your entire audio destructively. So real-time effects are non-destructive, which means it doesn't quote-unquote apply to your audio until you export it, versus destructive effects, which is what we have been doing in the past, apply immediately. So maybe I apply, I don't want to show anyone's thing, so let's just do test one. Maybe it's something weird like this. This is not an actual EQ. Please do not add this EQ to your audio. This would be bad. This would sound like garbage. Please do not do this. But maybe I apply something like this to your thing. It would be bad though. That would sound not good. And then once I apply it with the effects, I'm actually going to get rid of it down here so it doesn't export with double the EQ. Make sure you get rid of it if you're going to apply it destructively. And now our last step, the last thing we're going to do in our audio is we're going to trim it down and add in some spaces to make the editors have a fun time editing your audio. So, in here, we can see, using this waveform, I might trim, if I was looking at the waveform right here, right, I might trim to here. Or if it's really small, right, I would trim to, oh my god, what happened? I might trim to like right here, right? But we can see I'm actually cutting out some of the lower frequencies, this ending of the line, right? Or maybe I cut here, right? And I'm cutting out this taper, right? Sometimes we want that. Sometimes we don't want this breath in, right? So in order to get rid of that, I change it to logarithmic dB. And this allows me to make my cuts, looking between the spectrogram and the logarithmic dB, allows me to make my cuts perfectly exactly where I want them to be. So like this one, I would cut in here at a valley in this. In here, I might cut right there, or maybe in here, right? So again, this would be you hit Z on the keyboard to make it an @0 crossing, to set your cursor to where it's not gonna make a drastic spike between clips. And then I would select a thing, and I'd hit backspace. Wow, those 3 button presses were hard. I wish there was a way to do it for me. Great. If you go to Tools, there's something called a Macro Manager, which allows you to make macros, which are these fun little things which do stuff for you. If you see this Select and Delete macro, I have, if I press a button on my keypad, it does select zero crossing, selects to the previous clip boundary, and hits delete. 3 things for me. Perfect. I can also do it splitting. So at zero crossing and then splitting. And then I also have, I bound these effects chains to myself. So like the declicker, the high pass, and then this just makes my audio all one thing beyond, because I record my background noise at the front of my clips versus where here I'm showing you at the end. Things like that. And then here you see more of my effects chain that I add to myself. Please do not steal my effect. Please do not steal the values I am using, because they are for my audio, and your audio is recorded with your voice in your room with your microphone, and the stuff will mostly be different. Again, if I pointed out, hey, use this limiter, or hey, use this loudness or this loudness normalization, use those. But like things like Deesser, noise removal settings, things like that, those are going to be reliant on your audio specifically. And we'll touch on this backend editor in a moment. So let's go through and let's trim our audio to these valleys using this handy dandy macro, which does everything for me. Oh, look at that. I have work to do. Awesome. Hit 5. And get rid of that. And this time, we're going to get rid of our background noise because we are done with it. And we have one last thing to do, which is add space between all of our audio. This just makes it easier so our editors can see it, what they need to cut at. So, we go to hit J on a keypad to move our cursor to the beginning of our audio. You can hit K to move it to the end. Right here is where it is, versus J is right here. Right there. I'm gonna hit that. I'm gonna hit Tools, Apply Macro. We're gonna do Backend Editor. So what this does, I'm gonna crash Audacity first. It's struggling. It is indeed struggling. This applies a ½ second of silence between every single clip. I'm going to do Shift K and backspace to get rid of all that. And this is how I submit my audio to the rest of the editors, with a clear 5 seconds or 0.5 seconds of silence between every single clip, including the beginning and end of the track. This is the final audio you should be exporting. Solo it, Control-Shift-E, export. Perfect. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.